Here's another student going to a park. We'll take a look at her introduction. She says, when selecting a location to observe, I wanted a place where there would not be a lot of people and commotion to keep my area of observation narrow. Also, I wanted a place that was familiar to me in the hope that I might learn something new. I decided on Holland Lake, located within Lebanon Hills Regional Park in Egan. I often go there for a good workout on the many hiking trails. While observing Lebanon Hills, I noticed that I was becoming more and more anxious. I was constantly thinking about all the assignments I had to do and what my provocative or interesting point might be for this paper. Here's a student who kind of psychs herself out because she focuses on mostly her inability to actually sit and observe and not think about the next thing. Actually, it helps her write a decent paper as a result, because she talks about how she overcomes that and is able to observe things in spite of the fact that she does have anxiety about getting other things done. Let's take a look at one more good paper. Here's one more good paper. Unpredicted Serenity, she says in her title. On my first day in taking the city bus to school, I was walking down the busy downtown St. Paul streets, searching for the right bus stop to wait at. The stop was only a few blocks away. I was anticipating the next half hour of my wait to be anything but great. Let's face it, the last place anyone might think to find a relaxing and peaceful place to sit would be a busy, crowded, traffic-filled city bus stop. However, I now disagree. Now, just overlook the fact that there's a run-on sentence. But I'd like to just point out that what she's done here is rather clever, because she's taken the common thing that people might think about, bus stop. They're going to all look the same, and who cares what they look like. That's not going to be a very pleasant place to be, because most people are waiting for the next thing. But she actually starts to notice through the process of the paper that someone's actually put some thought into the bus stop, making it actually a more pleasant place to be, a place that if you're not used to waiting for buses, it's not going to be a bad place to actually spend some time at. And it's going to have a fountain, it's going to have a garden, it's going to easily tell you when your next bus is going to be by. It's not a bad way to go into a paper. And what she's done in this last sentence, let me highlight it again. She's done something I encourage in a typical campus class, which is to talk about what everybody thinks about a place, and then talk about what surprises you find. The myth about a place, the stereotype about a place, what commonly everybody thinks about, and then talk about, well, here's what I think, here's the surprise that I found, here's the unique direction I took, that road less traveled, if you like poetry. So there are some examples of paper assignments and what students have done with this paper. Let's go back to our assignment again. This is your assignment sheet. You're used to seeing this, right? And if you've skipped it already, it might be worth reviewing just for a minute. I'd like you to describe that place, as it says here, thoroughly, originally, and deliberately. That means it's your own description. You're really going into detail. If you pick something too big, trying to talk about a subject too vaguely or too generally, it won't be very successful at all. It has to be from your perspective, the things that you noticed there. You're emulating what Samuel Scudder and countless students have done after Samuel Scudder. So really dig in and look at that place. The provocative point that you write about during your stay at that place will probably be something you discover while you're there or while you're writing about it. You may have a rough idea of what you're doing as you go into writing the paper. You might have a general direction of where you're going to go. But this paper might be unnerving because it encourages you to think during the process of actual your writing, to think, as they say, in ink, or in this case in pixels, to think as you're putting your thoughts into words on the screen itself. Lots of precedent for this, of course. There's a very famous saying by E.M. Forster, a novelist from the previous century, who said, "How can I know what I think until I see what I write? How can I know what I think until I see what I write?" It's not that he was stupid. It is that the process of writing about an experience has its own way of actually working out a main point. And it's not exaggerated, actually. It's not only borne out by experience, but by science. That writing does aid thinking, it does aid memory, just like reading does too. You want to take that seriously so that if a thought occurs to you, and you say, well, maybe this idea is actually a little bit better to write about, you don't want to hesitate. I did have one student who happened upon a better thesis for her paper, but then she said, well, should I do this even though it makes me rewrite the paper? And I said, isn't it a better thesis? Won't it result in something better? All that work that you did before for the paper isn't wasted effort. It's preliminary work to actually get to that more interesting thesis. And of course, that's what I'll be looking for, the ability to express that idea, an interesting, unified main point. If you have a bunch of stuff from your log or from your observations that don't relate to that main point, you want to look through and see if you can't edit it out. Because, of course, in the development of the paper, you have to have specifics that really do explain yourself in some detailed fashion and not just a list. not just a list that you could have bullet pointed or something else. Now, not every story is going to be as dramatic as that. But you do want to be focused in this paper on developing an idea that unifies all of your observations. Ones that don't fit in, you'll have to be careful that you edit or try to unify them so that they do fit in. I'll be looking for that idea. It says here, do you have an interesting unified main point? Do you eliminate distractions? We'll be looking for the development of the idea, that it's not developed just in lists, as we saw, but that it's developed through real description of what's going on, and that it's clearly expressed. Those are some ideas for paper topics and some samples of past papers that I've gotten. If you have questions about these or anything about your assignment, be sure to email me this week. I'll still be checking email up until the due date, and I want to try and help. Don't wait until the last minute if you can help it. Thanks very much. Good luck.